everybody. Thanks for joining us for a spur of the moment, out of nowhere, little live show. I uh I wanted to have Brian from the Outspoken Network uh come on the show with us because I ran across his channel. He was doing it, and him and his buddies just talk some great NFL football, and they had me on their channel too. So I just wanted to bring him on, show him some love. Um, Even though he's a Packers fan, still, I always appreciate
Yeah,
everybody's opinion, and it's always nice to get an opinion from the other side. So, like I said, man, I really like the work you do on your channel, and I appreciate you for just coming on with me randomly tonight and finding the time to do so. So, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, and love to talk football. This is the best time of the year, and it don't get much better than this, man.
For sure. So, yeah, and you know what? And I'll put this in the chat at some point too. I'm going to see how many FGBs we can get tonight to toss your way. You know, fuck Green Bay's in the chat, just people commenting it. And
Yeah,
every single one of them, I'll make sure to put it up there for you. You know what I mean? So
that's all
um,
right. I can handle it. I know there's a lot of deep anger, pain for the Bear fans due to Green Bay winning all the time. So I get it.
yeah, and we don't want to hear you talk about it either. So no, I'm kidding, man. Like I said, I want to show you some love too, but I'm not going to just make it easy for you. I'm going to give you a hard time throughout it too, but whatever, man. Hey, like you said, we do like to talk football though, and let's just before we get to the NFC North, because that's really what I want to talk to you about is our division and everything that's going on in there. Let's just talk about this game real quick between the Bills and the Dolphins. Man, what do
Domination.
yes, domination.
Huh.
And going into it, I believe the Bills had won 13 out of 15 of the last matchups. But what do
Yep.
you think of that whole situation, man, with Tua?
Well, that took over the game. Bills dominated. That's not even a talking point. It's to his injury, and I don't. Everyone's calling for him to retire, and it's a scary situation, and we all think it's in the right mind for him to step aside. But I like what Nick Saban said. Nick Saban said today that it should be a medical decision, and if the doctors say, "Hey, Tua, you need to step away from football," then I would 100% agree with him. It's a tough decision for us to make sitting back, and you think would be an easy decision, but you also got to look at the money he may be leaving on the table. You got to look at this is something that he's trained for his entire life, and to have it cut so short when he's still early in his career, it's a difficult decision for me to sit here and tell him what to do. You know what
But
I'm saying?
but okay, but to leave it to just strictly a medical decision is like comparing it to a torn ACL. You know what I mean? Or like, or just knee problems in general. Sure, man. We'll shoot it up. We'll numb it up. You could go out there and play. You might have trouble walking when you're fucking 60, right?
Yeah.
But you could get through it. Or like, there was that safety. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Cut off his pinky to keep playing a regular season game. Um, we're talking about a head injury here. Like,
It's yeah.
could you imagine if a player was to pass on the field? Like what that would do to the NFL. So
We were
to
very
just
close
have it,
last year with that, with Damar Hamlin.
yeah, yes, exactly. And so
Which
that's scary. And I think that's scary for all the teams, not just Miami, to just have that type of possibility be out there. And so for it to be just a medical decision, it's like, man, I think any medical doctor would suggest you don't play football at all to begin with if you want to stay healthy.
right. I
So
mean,
where do you draw the line? You know what I mean?
well, honestly, it's really up to obviously him and the doctors, and it's really a personal decision for him. And then no one else is going to make that decision. It's like if I said, "Hey, if I told someone you need to quit smoking because it's bad for you," well, and until they decide for themselves to stop smoking, it's not going to happen.
That's right.
So, we all look at it and go, "Man, you've got to change something." He obviously didn't learn anything. Like this guy's had so many concussions. You think the Bears would have showed him your slip and slide skills out there or so. I saw that in the comment section. It's very funny. Or
He would
something.
benefit. He would benefit
but he
from Matt Eberflus being his. No, I'm kidding.
he goes in head first, and I'm like, dude, get the first down and slide.
But it's not only going in head first. I've said this over and over and over about players. One of the things I hated most about Jay Cutler, I remember like a week 2, week 3, he scrambles out of the pocket. He's one-on-one with the safety. And what does he do? Drop his shoulders. And I'm just like, no, we need you to throw. We pay 5 guys to protect you so you don't get hit, and you run out there and just try and bulldoze through someone, right? Now, there's also this mindset of these scrambling quarterbacks where it's like, okay, when you're back in the pocket, you're a statue. Somebody running into you. Oh, here we go. There's one. There's one, Ryan. We're going to have a tally.
Counter over here.
Yes. You're a statue in the pocket. So when someone comes and hits you, it's bad. When you're running, like I had a friend who skateboarded, and when he'd fall, he wouldn't fall. He'd roll out of it and pop back up. Whereas, like, if I fall, I'm planting and hurting myself. You know what I mean? So there's a technique to it, too. And when you're in motion, you can kind of carry that motion in different ways when you get hit and pushed and shoved, where it doesn't hit you as much, unless it's a direct head-to-head impact. You know what I mean? But what we're talking about here is situationally different. Yeah, Jay Cutler did it in week 2, week 3. And I said, listen, I get it if it's the playoffs. Okay, Carson Wentz got drafted, and it was week 2 against the Bears. And I remember he scrambled outside, and he was up running up the sideline, and he had a chance. He picked up the first down. He had a chance to just step out. Instead, he cut back in, took a shot from Urlacher, picked up an extra 2 yards, popped right back up because he's 23 years old. But I remember looking at the TV and going, no, this kid's not going to survive like this. I get it, man, but like this isn't how you're going to last in this league.
That happened to Jimmy Garoppolo, if I'm not mistaken, with the 49ers. He fought for 2 extra yards and then blew out his ACL. And for the 2 yards. I'm like, you got to make a business decision sometimes.
If you're doing it in the playoffs, all hands off. Do whatever you got to do, man. Right. I hear you. But in early regular season, so we're talking about a situation where you're down 3 touchdowns. You've lost the last 13 out of 15 matchups. You're down 3 touchdowns. Yeah. It's 4th and 4. You've picked up the 4th down. What are you fighting for here?
Yeah, you're not going to get in the end zone. And it's very ironic that DeMar Hamlin's the one that hit him too. So that plays in a whole another irony into the thing. And there's been some pretty bad but hilarious memes and everything else like that today. I thought, and it's crazy because I thought the Bills were going to completely fall off this year. I know they have Josh Allen, but you look at the wide receiver core and this team I think they've kind of held on to the team too long, but so far there's 2-0. They came back against Arizona and won. That was a game that Josh Allen put on his back, said, hey, I'm not going to lose this game today. And then they go and they dominate Miami, and they have Miami's number, whatever it may be. Everyone has that team where you play this team and you should beat them, but for some reason they have your number and they look really good. The Bills look really good last night. Tua threw 3 interceptions, which one of them wasn't his fault. They hit him right in the shoulder pad, and the other 2 were terrible. And then he gets injured, and then we're talking about the Bills dominating the game and looking better than I think most people thought this year. We're sitting here talking about Tua in his decision whether he should play football anymore.
Yeah, and I was like going through the AFC quarterbacks, right? Like you have Mahomes, you have Lamar, you have, not in any specific order, okay? I'm just listing them. Mahomes, Lamar, you have Burrow, you have Allen, right? You have Herbert, you have Rodgers, you have CJ Stroud, you have, who else am I missing? There's more. I know there's more.
But are they good?
Well, like how far before you get to Tua? So what do you do? You're out there dying to be the what? Ninth best QB in the AFC?
Yeah, I think Tua.
Like Trevor Lawrence. There's another name.
I'd take Tua over Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, fair, but like we're getting to that.
Yeah.
Dude, we're almost already like 7-8 in. Like, dude.
Yeah,
it's not worth it, right? So I don't know what his future holds and whatever, but it's not worth it. And and then just before we get onto the NFC North, because that's what we're here to talk about, but I just want to mention one more thing because you mentioned Josh Allen and the Bills and how they're cooking and whatnot. To me, Stafford is NFC, the Rams are NFC, Johnny. So yeah, but the landscape of the NFL right now is so interesting to me because like you look at the quarterbacks that have Super Bowl rings, right? We're talking about We're talking about Matt Stafford, who was towards the end of his career. Talking
Right.
about Rodgers, definitely
And
towards the end of his career.
definitely towards
We're
the end of
talking
his
about
career.
Russell Wilson, who didn't
Who's
start week 1, Joe Flacco, who's a backup on the Colts, and Patrick Mahomes with 3 of them. Right? So
yeah.
for Josh Allen, that's the hurdle, man. I remember that one game where there was 7 drives, both teams scored 7 touchdowns. It got to overtime, and Kansas City won a coin flip, and that's why
He's had that bad luck
Bills
of running
lost.
into the Mahomes train.
Man, it's like we're facing the Michael Jordan of football right now, and that's for every team, including your Green Bay Packers and my Chicago Bears. And so it's interesting because it's like I truly feel the NFC is very weak. Do you think, I got a question for you. Do you think a guy like Herbert, being like the 5th, 6th, 7th best quarterback, arguably, wherever you have him, if he went to the NFC, if you popped him in on San Francisco, do you think that ultimately, like, I mean, not even San Francisco, most teams, like, do you think he's just the best quarterback in the NFC, period?
He's top 3, I think, definitely. With Herbert's kind of a weird one because he's got all the talent in the world, but for some reason, there's something missing. Winning games, winning when it counts. I would say 2. I would have to put him behind Dak Prescott in the NFC.
That's fair. That's fair.
If you're talking Joe Burrow, definitely Joe Burrow, I think, would be the number 1. He looked a little off in week 1, but he usually starts pretty slow.
Yeah, if Josh Allen was on an NFC team, he'd be facing Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah,
the AFC Championship, right? So,
yeah,
it's just crazy what the landscape is, but
it's definitely quarterback heavy on the AFC side, definitely.
And so, you look at the situation in Miami, like, what does Tyreek Hill really do for you now? I always argue that this is so quarterback driven, and it's times like these that prove my point. But then we go to our counterpart in the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings. And you have a similar situation where it's like Justin Jefferson just got paid, clearly one of the best wide receivers in the league. I'm sitting here going, well, that's great and all. Yeah, number 1 to me too. I'm sitting here going, that's great and all, but without a quarterback, what does it really do for you? And, they seem to do just fine with Sam Darnold. What do you think about the Vikings' performance in week 1?
I've got to say, I don't really account for it because they played the Giants. And the Giants are probably going to fight the Panthers for the worst team of football. They don't have a quarterback. They don't really have a defense. I think the team identity is lost altogether. So the Vikings,
they do have a quarterback. He's just not good.
Yeah, someone's going to get fired for that after the season for re-signing Daniel Jones. Someone's got to lose their job for that. That's just absolutely terrible. The Vikings, look, they came out and it's funny because we don't make the schedules, right? So some people are like, oh, your schedule's easy. Well, I don't make it. We got to show up, but we still got to beat the bad teams.
Strength of schedule is the most bullshit thing out there. It changes as the season goes on. It's all based off teams last year that are all different. So sure, easy projected schedule may not even be the case, but I hear you. Yeah, people make that argument all the time.
Sam Darnold he's a bus driving quarterback. He's not going to go out and throw for 400 yards and completely take over a game and put the game on his back. But I don't think he's going to make those dumb decisions that are going to cost you. I'm interested to see what this defense is going to do this year because they've struggled mightily the last couple of years on defense ever since they lost Mike Zimmer. This defense has been really bad. And to me, offense is important, especially nowadays game, but your defense has to be able to hold its own or you don't even have a shot. I still got Minnesota. I had Minnesota in the last spot in the division, but I don't know. Are the Bears going to beat
better
them?
Remain there. They better remain there. Are the Bears going to beat them?
Are they going to beat them in the standings? That's the question. Well, I mean, will they beat them once this year? I don't know. It's very hard to tell with the Bears, especially after week 1. But and I've told you before, I think if Caleb Williams turns out to be the quarterback that they say he is, the Bears will be a good football team.
Did you watch the Bears game at all or no?
I did not get to watch it. I did see the highlights. When you don't score an offensive point, That's worrisome. You can't even. You didn't. I mean, you did have a drop touchdown pass that was on the wide receiver. He dropped it right in his hands. But I heard a lot of 3 and outs. You look at the stats. He had a 93 yards. He threw for I think it was like 40% completion percentage, which is absolutely terrible, and a 22 QBR. And you look at his numbers, and it's not good. The defense looked good. Your special teams look good, but you also faced Will Levis, who's not good. So I think you got to take a little bit of grain of salt. At the end of the day, a win's a win, but it's not the debut that you Bear fans were wanting and we're looking forward to for Caleb Williams. Definitely not.
Um, yeah, and God, I can't believe I'm blanking on so many names tonight. Bill Parcells, that's who I'm thinking of. One of the best coaches of all time. I believe he's got the quote that said, "More games are lost than are won in the NFL." And obviously, on paper, it's 500. As many games as are won is as many games as are lost. But what he means is more teams will go out there and beat themselves by making mistakes. And, then you have situations where a team has to do a lot in order to win. And I really like the Patriots. And I've seen them do that for the last 20, 2 decades. Just go out there and play clean football and not shoot yourself in the foot. Half the time, the other team will beat themselves, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's what happened for the Bears. Like Will Levis lost that game.
Oh yeah. If he
Sure, we
doesn't,
won it. Sure, we won it, but he lost that
that
game.
was the worst toss to the sideline, underhand throw. I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Take the sack and
Yep.
live another day." And you make a boneheaded decision. And Johnny says can't say he didn't score a single point. Okay, he had a 2 point conversion. You're technically right there, but at this point we circumcise the mosquitoes, like Jerry Jones would say. He didn't take his team to and score a touchdown. He didn't get in the field goal range. They didn't get any field goals. So I mean, you could beat around the bush all you want. It was not a good debut, and I don't know any Bears fan that said it was. You know what I mean? Like so. Um, but look, you had a great draft. I said this on my show. The two teams that had the best offseason to me were the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears. And you guys, if Caleb Williams pans out, had the best offseason. I really like Adunze, your wide receiver out of Washington. He was great last year. When you picked him up, I was like, oh man, they look to be like two great guys. So, which did his MRI results come back? Because I know he got MRI on his knee. And is he going to be playing?
I believe they're going to sit him real quick. Black Bear Podcast, Bear Down. Hey, man, if you're free and you want to hop on with us, I'll totally send you an invite your way. So we'd love to have you join this conversation if you wanted to. But yeah, they got the MRI. It's more of a precautionary thing.
Okay.
And I said it from the start when they drafted him. I go, okay, this is more of a move for the future than it is for now. Because, like, we clearly need interior offensive linemen. We clearly need defensive line help. Even though the guy we traded a 6th-round pick for, Taylor, he wound up getting 2 sacks and a footwork fumble. So he showed up and he took that production opposite of Montez Sweat that we were constantly looking for somebody to take an opportunity and make the most of it from at that position. But when they drafted Rome Odunze at pick 9, it wasn't my favorite choice. I would not have drafted a wide receiver. I would have traded back, probably taken a defensive end and then a center with whatever draft compensation we got back, because I felt that there were more holes and I felt that would have made more of an impact for now. I think Rome Odunze is more of a pick for the future, and therefore I think they're being extremely cautious with him. He felt a little bit of soreness. They said, hey, let's go get an MRI. It's a MCL sprain, not a tear. So I think they're just going to sit him to let it heal up. And I think they're going to sit Keenan Allen too to let it heal up for him as well. So
yeah, I mean, and you got Keenan Allen, a veteran guy, and Dunze is a guy that can sit behind him and learn a lot from your wide receiver core. I think you're exactly right with that for the future. He's a shifty guy. He's fast. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. So I think he's going to pan out really well for you guys. I think he's going to be your Randall Cobb. What Randall Cobb was for Green Bay. I think he's going to be your kind of Randall Cobb guy. Trust me, you guys all know about Randall Cobb.
we do. We definitely do. Yeah, and I'm hoping he's more than that for a wide receiver to be picked number
Well,
9.
true.
I'm hoping he gets I'm thinking top wide receivers in the league at that point. But
Maybe that was me kind of hoping he wouldn't get better than that.
where did
Being a
Randall
Bears
Cobb
fan.
get drafted? I don't know that off the top of my head.
I don't even know that off the top of my head.
For some reason, I'm thinking like a 4th round pick, though. Hold on,
Let me look it
Randall Cobb draft. Let me just see here. I could have second round.
It wasn't that high.
Second round pick though, but still, yeah. So you have different expectations for a guy drafted in the second round than you do as a top 10 pick, right? But it's interesting because picking 2 offensive players with 2 top 10 picks, and I know it's game 1, but like at some point during the season, you are going to need to lean on the offense, and when you do, for Bears fans, and when you do, that offense is going to be expected to come out and make the most of it and win you a game or 2 here and there. You know what I mean? But early on, I was saying, hey, the defense is the strength of this team. That's what we got to lean on. However, still, it was a miracle type of victory that we got. I'll take the win. I'll take the win every week.
Yeah.
It's always better to get one. And how often can we say that, like, hey, you guys are last in the division right now? How do you feel about that?
It won't last long, hopefully. Jordan Love's injury, how long he's going to be out, I don't think we know that question. I hate for any team to lose their quarterback. I hate for any team to lose a great player due to injury. But right now, you Bears fan better live it up because I have the Packers winning the division this year. A lot of people have the Lions. We shall see how long it lasts. I hope. I want to see Love back as soon as possible, but I don't want him to be rushed and then end up causing a tear and then it be out even longer the whole season.
Are you willing to sacrifice the season?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So another question, like he could be out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I think if he's out 6 weeks, do you think your season's shot?
Yes.
But at 4 weeks, you still can.
3-4 weeks, I would say we could wild card would be our best opportunity. I don't think Malik Willis is going to win us any games. I don't see us. We don't go out and get. Rumor was we reached out to Ryan Tannehill, which I would take. But we basically said it's Malik Willis or Jordan Love. If Jordan Love can't go, it's Malik. And I don't see him winning us any football games. If we lose 6 games, I'd rather just lose and get a better draft pick at that point because our season would be over. You lose 6 straight. The NFC is I don't know if it's as tough as the AFC, but it's still not that weak where you can go in. I'm not going to win the division at 9-8 or 7-10 or anything like that, and making a wild card at that point. Making a wild card is not going to happen if we lose 6 straight games. So I hope it's more 3 weeks, but Matt LaFleur's come out. They haven't counted him out. They didn't put him on the IR which would put him out 4 games. So there's still hope that he plays Sunday, but I think that's more of a smoke screen here for the Colts to kind of who we're going to prepare for going forward. But I don't highly doubt he plays Sunday. I think it would be kind of stupid if he plays Sunday, honestly.
Let's talk about the Colts a little bit. So, because, we have a matchup against the Texans, but then the week after we face the Colts as well. And you guys face the Colts this week. What do you think about that matchup between Green Bay and the Colts? What do you think? How do you think they're going to attack them? What do you think? How do you think that game plan is going to even look like?
Well, we're still figuring out what we're going to be on defense. We switched to a new defensive coordinator at Boston College last season. We went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So we're changing some things up. I was really disappointed in the pressure we got last week against the Eagles. I think our defensive line's going to be better. Now, the Eagles do have a really good offensive line, so I can kind of tell that. And the field position, the field was terrible in Brazil. But I think we'll pressure the quarterback more. This defensive coordinator, Halfley, is known to blitz a lot and bring a lot of pressure. So I'm interested to see what that's going to look like. I was impressed with Richardson last week against the Texans. I thought he played good. He has a cannon of an arm. Sometimes he's a little wild, like Josh Allen was when he first started his career. He was overthrowing guys. He's a quarterback that's got to be smarter running the football. He ended his season last year and the Colts season last year. I don't think the Colts are a very good football team, though. They're bottom of the pack usually in the NFC. They like to run the ball and play hard-nosed defense, but I don't think their defense is all that great.
Yeah, but like, you have situations out there like Joe Burrow and the Bengals where Joe Burrow got hurt in his first year, was out for the whole year, came
Yeah.
back his second year and then make the Super Bowl. And I'm going, wait, you're not supposed to get better
Yeah.
from getting hurt. Like that's not usually how it works. And with the same um thing going on, it's like the Bengals were not a good team or a good organization, period, for a long
Yeah.
time.
For a long, long time.
Since they got Joe Burrow, they've been just fine.
Yeah.
Right. So like I know there was a
That
lot of hype on Anthony Richardson early this year, especially for fantasy football. And I'm just like, wait, he's being called a good quarterback. Like, what has he done to
nothing.
show you that he's a good quarterback? Nothing. But however, he did
He
have an
had
impressive
he did.
first game this year. So
You
I
know,
gotta give it to him. Like that, okay, I saw something. But hey man, my thing is the guy's gotta stay healthy.
yeah. Well, he's the type of guy too. When he runs the ball, I'm gonna run you over, not go. Type of ground, and he's more of a ground. I don't think he's the flashy like Lamar. I'm gonna juke you out of your socks. I'm gonna run you over type like Josh Allen or even Big Ben used to be when he was younger. But he had flashes the first game. He looked pretty decent. And my only thing with him, I thought when they drafted him, it was a reach. It drafted that high. He hasn't had a whole lot of college experience. Um, he hasn't thrown a lot of passes uh, compared to the guys that go and do 4 years of college or whatever and get
Physically,
drafted real
he's a good
high.
specimen, but
Yeah, he is an athletic beast. But if he stays healthy and you can see some progression with him, you know, I still think the Colts aren't very good of organization, and they're a team. I honestly I feel like when Andrew Luck walked out of the building, so did their identity. I think they're still trying to recover from him
of
walking
course,
out. So,
of
and
course.
that I do feel bad for him. But we'll see. We will see if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. This is what the game, though. I think that if Malik Willis can win, I think it would be this game. We're going to rely heavily on the rushing attack of the Packers. Jacobs didn't really impress me much in the first half last week, but he went off the second half. Matt LaFleur is a great coach, one of the best in the league, in my opinion, and I think he's going to game plan his game plan accordingly and change things up for the strengths of Malik Willis, and he's got a strong arm. I mean, if he had a chance, he could have made that. He could have threw it in the end zone last week against the Eagles, but he just took a sack. But I would say this is the game we might win if we win one with Malik, but because I really don't know what the Colts are going to have offensively. Like what's their wide receiver core look like? What are they good on the defensive backfield? Those type of questions. I'm not really familiar with the Colts too much, and where it's the first game in Green Bay, so that helps us out a little bit as well.
I look at the Green Bay Packers, and when I look at Matt LaFleur and like Jordan Love, I actually don't think Jordan Love is all that great. I really don't. And so I was like, okay, check mark. He's not Aaron Rodgers. And now he got hurt. I was like, great, check mark. He's not Brett Favre. Like, perfect. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
but I'm just fucking with you. But I truly think that he's more of a product of Matt LaFleur's system than anything else. I don't see him as one of these top guys in the NFL. And I truly believe a lot of his success it should actually be given to Matt LaFleur. And so because of that, I actually think with a better quarterback, you guys could be a lot better. And I also think that with a different quarterback, you guys could still probably pull some tricks off because you're coached really well. You really are. And
Our
so
coaches,
there's a
yeah.
good scheme, there's a good game plan, there's good consistency there. I wouldn't be surprised if you pull out a couple wins, even without Jordan Love, to be honest with you.
Well,
So
it's funny when Matt LaFleur came in, I was like, really, who's this guy? We didn't really know who he was.
yeah, me
Tennessee's
too.
offensive coordinator. I'm like, Tennessee hasn't been good on offense in a long time. Um, and we won with the Rodgers. Now we didn't win the Super Bowl with LaFleur, but we won games. We were a good regular season team, and we went to the playoffs every year with Rodgers. And people held that against LaFleur. They said, well, can he win with anybody else? He's got Aaron Rodgers. They held that against him.
Rodgers didn't like that system.
Yeah, he didn't.
No, he liked the West Coast offense, and he came out publicly and said it too. Like, no, this is like a scheme type offense scheme to get a guy open. Like it's different. It's not what he's used to.
Yeah. And so this year, I mean, definitely Love has learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers. He's learned a lot from Matt LaFleur. He's I do think he's going to be good. Now, last year, if you asked me the first 6 games of the season, I'm saying this is not the guy. He looked lost. He made bad passes. The offense looked way off. The last 8 games of the year, the guy played better than Patrick Mahomes. And then I think you also got to look into, we have the youngest wide receiver core in the league.
I know last year you guys were the youngest team in the league.
We still are this year too.
Yeah, are you okay? Yeah.
So you got to look at what we put around him, and I mean Reed is good and Dobbs is good, but these aren't your Jamar Chases and your Jeffersons and your number 1 wide receivers, and the guy who we thought was going to be really great, Watson, hasn't really panned out to be all that great because he can't stay on the field, and so we're still waiting for Watson to develop.
Yeah, but that's why I attribute it to coaching, because you still
Yeah.
had a 4,000-yard passing season without a receiver over 800 yards.
Love is, or LaFleur is great. I don't think I've really heard any backlash from Packer fans with our coach. You have those, of course, you have those 1-2 idiots out there who don't know what they're talking about. They'll bash him or whatever. And
believe me, there's more than 2. There's more than 2. Believe me.
I love Matt LaFleur. I love what he's done. And I love Brian Gutekunst, our GM. I love what he's done as well and draft these guys. I am one of the very few Packer fans that loved the draft pick when we drafted Love. I love the draft pick because I always said it's time to we move on. We should have traded Aaron Rodgers the year before we did, and we held on and paid him
sell high.
And my only concern with Love is the year before we drafted him, he was the best quarterback in college football. And then the next year, he had the highest interceptions in college football. And then we draft him. I'm going, oh. So I've seen that kind of up and down that he can be. He's had a lot of time to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur and learn the system. My biggest thing that I love about Love is he's unselfish with the football. You said it last week. He spreads the ball around. Or last year, he had those yards without having a wide receiver over 1,000 yards. What did Aaron Rodgers do? He forced the ball into Devontae Adams in the playoffs, and it cost us. It cost us playoff games because he refused to throw the ball. If a wide receiver dropped a pass, he's not looking back at him. That guy can't catch the ball. Love will go to that guy the next play. Love is unselfish. Love took the wide receiver group out to practice during the offseason while Aaron Rodgers is in the blindness retreat smoking his whatever over there in Africa. That's the difference. Is this guy's? I think his leadership's way better than Aaron Rodgers. And I think
I knew it was underground, but was it in Africa? Really?
He was smoking something in Africa the year before over there. And then he went to some darkness retreat. And I don't know. The guy's a weird guy. And I like Aaron Rodgers because he's a great quarterback, but he's kind of a douchebag, honestly. Let's be real.
You know, he hasn't spoken to his family for like a decade now. Kind of. Listen, man, I'd take him in his prime. Hands down.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
I'm able to separate character from football production.
See, me too. But at the end of the day, at the end of his career, I was tired of it, man. He comes out and says, the rumors of me wanting $50 million, I don't want $50 million. And then he turns around and signs a $50 million contract. Right. I'm like, you sound like an idiot. You come out and you bash Adam Schefter and you say, lose my number, you moron. You know what you're talking about. And then you turn around and sign the same contract that Adam Schefter was talking. I'm not here to bash Aaron Rodgers. I like the guy when he played for me in his prime, but he did cost us a lot of playoff games. And that's how you know when I'm a real Packers fan, is I can bash my quarterback. But I like Love. I like his unselfishness. We're going to see. I'm not here going, I asked my buddy. I got a buddy I met online just on Packer page. We talk a lot of football. He's like, Jordan Love's the guy. He's here. He's going to be great. And I'm going, I've seen the flashes of great. I got to see it one more year. I need to see that one more year. I need to see it through a whole season before I say he's going to be great. My buddy Ryan says, he goes, he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to be Brett Favre. And I go, I'm not asking him to be, because that's a high ask. but I think he'd be somewhere in between.
Yeah. And real quick, if that's how you judge fandom, by the way, we've bashed like 30, 40 quarterbacks here. so that if that you should have a
Yeah.
lot of respect for us because
Well, you get some homers out there that are like, you can Aaron Rodgers does no wrong, and this team has cost him the Super Bowl. No, Aaron
well,
Rodgers, if you watch the games, you watch him miss a wide open Lazard across the middle, and he throws into triple team coverage Devontae Adams against the 49ers, and we ended up losing the game. There's a lot of those
dude,
type things, and
I guess I am one that makes the argument that's like I think he won you guys one despite situation. I think you deserved more with that type of talent at quarterback.
yeah.
And I think the organization failed, in a sense, to achieve more Super Bowls. The
Oh,
ultimate goal. Like, it's not like you guys didn't have success. You had plenty of success.
yeah, yeah,
But the ultimate goal was only achieved once, and it was with who? Mike McCarthy as the head coach, Joe Philbin as the offensive
yeah.
coordinator, Rodgers as the most sacked quarterback that year.
We took
So he did it, in my opinion, he did it all on his shoulders. And like, unless you surround him with everything else being perfect, you're not gonna get multiple. You know what I mean? So
I agree with you. I will agree with that 100% at the beginning of his career. At the beginning of his career, he did overcome some flaws. You look at his playoff losses, we scored 30, the defense gave up 35. And I'm like, okay, well, if your defense gave up 35 points, then we're not going to win. We went in there as a wild card team. We ran through the playoffs. We won the Super Bowl against the Steelers here in Dallas. And we won despite Coach McCarthy. And Coach McCarthy is not a good football coach. But at the back end of his career, I believe his selfishness cost him and us some Super Bowls.
no, and that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, we as Bears fans, we're more focused on just making the playoffs. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to judge where you fall off from making the playoffs to making that last dance. But yeah, let's focus in on the Bears a little bit more. I want to get your
Too
opinion.
much Packer talk.
No, man, and I'm cool with it, and that's why I wanted you on tonight because
No.
it's like I can have it, and to be honest with you, it's you guys are at a low right now, so
Well,
I
yeah,
will enjoy that.
we
I'll
definitely
drag you.
are.
I'll drag you through the mud. I'll drag you through the dirt. I don't care.
We definitely are,
Um,
man.
but with the Bears, Houston Texans, what kind
Tough,
of a
man.
matchup?
Ooh,
Tough, right?
tough.
What do you think that's going to look like subjectively? I know you're a Packers fan and everything, but like just give me your honest,
I
unbiased opinion if you can.
yeah, I'm good at being subjective. Is that's in Texas, right? That's in Houston.
Correct.
Okay, that's another difficult situation. They're playing on the road. This game, and honestly, it's going to come down to Caleb Williams. Honestly, he's going to have to play. A whole lot better. And I'm not trying to bash the Bears. It's just the truth. He's got to play a lot better. Your defense has got to play their best game of the season so far, and maybe the best game of the year. The Stroud, this offense is great. This defense looks fantastic. Now, the Colts, they've scored 24, 25, something like that points last week against them. It's really going to rely on Caleb Williams making smart decisions for the football. You need to see honestly him getting some first downs and keeping your defense off the field. If your defense is out there, so after third down, after punting the ball so many times, they're gonna get worn out, and then that's when you turn into the Miami Dolphins and you just get beat up against the Bills like they did the other night. They've got to see some successful drives from Caleb Williams to keep their defense off the field, keep them rested. They've got to pressure CJ Stroud. And your special teams. It'd be great to get, for the Bears to come out on special teams again and get a block punt. And any way you can, I think you're looking for any way you can score points at this point.
Yeah, it's weird because I think we as fans here thought we were past that style of football, and to just open up week one and have it just be that same
Yeah.
type of Bears football. Like, I'll take the win always, but it was a little bit deflating that we had to lean so much on miracles to happen from the defense and the special teams. I thought the defense did a good job keeping the game close and then came through at the end to
Yeah.
really win it. And I thought the special teams actually did a good job overall, except for Velas Jones muffing a punt. I want that guy gone off our team. I
Muffin
don't
a
see why
punt
we're
is unacceptable.
well, yeah, and this is multiple times now, and there's not been anything productive on the positive end to justify even
Right.
risking it again. Yet for some reason they're just dragging this thing out. They want to like salvage that third round pick they made with him for some reason. And I would have gotten rid of him last year. I think that was just totally, yeah, not good for Velas. But outside of that one play, I thought our special teams did really, really well. I thought the punter we drafted actually put us in some good field position and things like that. But you're right, man. This is all going to fall on Caleb Williams, and you know he can come out there and say he's not nervous. It doesn't affect him. All he wants at the end of the day, he's a 22-year-old kid. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
the jitters, man. That's what it looked like. He got the jitters.
Wow.
So hopefully that goes away because when you look at his college tape, you don't see what you saw in that week one performance. You don't see him throwing behind receivers. You don't see his footwork being sloppy. You see quite the opposite. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that was just like that one time thing and like let's get back to what you are and what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
and you look at his college and you see honestly highlights and you go, that looked like Patrick Mahomes. He made this weird, crazy throw on the run. How did he get that? How did he make his arm do that angle and get the pass where it needed to be? And my buddy Craig, who's on the show, a host, he says Caleb Williams is going to be one of the biggest busts of all time. And he said that before he got drafted by the Bears. It's not just a Bears thing; it's just the fact that he doesn't think he's going to be good. Um, and I wasn't ready to say this. I mean, I've watched this guy's college. I've seen him make some plays. I've seen him win some games. I think his last year in college, they didn't do too well, but they lost a lot of offensive line. They lost a lot of things to the USC where you couldn't really you couldn't say, okay, this is really on Caleb Williams when it wasn't. Um, I think it did. It's got to be the jitters last week to play that badly. Um,
actually think
in
it's
your
a very
debut.
yeah, I actually think it's a very refreshing situation for him because throughout his entire collegiate career, he's been Superman. And if he wasn't, you lost.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come out and you're playing a sloppy game and the team picks you up and the team gets a win. And hopefully that drives it home that like, hey kid, this is not all on you.
Yeah.
Like this is the NFL. It's a little different. You have a good team, you have a good defense, you have other phases of
Right.
the game to lean on. And that's important. I mean, I think I brought it up last time I was with you guys. It's a three-phase game, and the Chargers in 2010 had the number one defense, number one offense, missed the playoffs. They went 9-7, 30-second special teams.
Yeah.
They were given a punt returns, kick returns, left and right, fumbling the ball. I mean, just awful. And it just goes to show how much of a team game it truly is. I mean, they had LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers, I
Well,
believe, that year. So, like, yeah, it still couldn't overcome it. So,
yeah, and in that college, you're right. They do have that kind of hero ball still, where so okay, you can rely on your defense, you can rely on this, and um, he doesn't have to try and do it all. So I really like put that back up on Bears Truth 9, and that's 100% is you've got to have well balanced offense. You've got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to use play action. You got to be able to confuse the defense a little bit, and get you got what you want to see is you want to get them. You want to get Caleb Williams in their rhythm early. You want to call some plays that's going to get easy passes to say, okay, I can do this. This is success. This is we're moving the ball up and down the field. You don't need a 3 and out and punt the ball and go, oh my God, here we go again. You need to get the first down. You need to get like this, and whether they take the ball first or not, I'm a big component of getting the ball in the second half. But sometimes it's great, get that ball and let's move the ball and let's get Caleb Williams going early. But it's going to take a full team effort for you guys to beat the Houston Texans coming up Sunday.
yeah, I definitely think it's an uphill battle. And I don't have them as one of my best teams yet because I keep saying, I do need to see it for another year. At the same time, I expect to see it for
Yeah.
another year. You know what I mean? Like I do
Yeah.
need it to play out for me, but I do think it's going to. I
I
don't
agree.
see
And you
CJ
had
Stroud taking a step back. So
Yeah, and you had him on number 6 as an honorable mention in the top 5 on our show, the power rankings. I believe you did.
No, I
No,
had the Jets. I had the
the
Jets, and then
Jets.
and
That's what it
then the
was.
Eagles were
That's
my
what it
number
was.
6, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that one's sour for me, huh? Look at that initial
Oh,
performance.
phew.
That was
They got
sloppy, bad.
they let a nobody running back run all over him like he was Walter Payton. I mean, this guy was up and down the field, 147 rushing yards. But that's the Shanahan system. You throw anybody in, and next thing you know, they're making it big. So, but
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like, man, like this is the last chance the Jets have before everybody gets fired, pretty much, right? So,
yeah,
like you got to make the most of it, and to come out looking like that, that's deflating.
yeah. I got an interesting question here for you, Bearski Films. I haven't talked about it on
Yeah,
my
let's go, man.
on my show yet.
Throw it at me.
It's Packer football, so bear with me.
Sure.
The whole Packers idea of wide receiver by committee. What do you think of that?
Explain that a little bit more in detail.
Wide receiver, I say wide receiver by committee is you have just a bunch of guys. You don't have a consistent number one. You're not going out and paying a guy like a CD Lamb or whatnot. You spread the ball around on offense to kind of everybody. It's more of we're going to go here and we're not going to have a straight up number one guy. We're just going to spread the ball out and kind of try and win that way. It's
So
it's never really worked in football. I mean, in my opinion, it's never really
oh
worked.
no, it has
So
worked. It's
it has
totally
worked.
worked multiple times. I'll give you multiple examples. One being the most recent with the Kansas City Chiefs. Buy Tyreek Hill,
Well,
and then we'll take who? Valdez Scantling,
yeah, he
second round
was
pick with
bad for
Rashi
us.
Rice, man, and you go
But
out
they
there
do
and
have a
still win
tight
anyway.
end. They have a number
So
one tight end, though.
the Patriots did this over and over and over, and then the year they got Randy Moss is the year they didn't win the Super Bowl. Right? So like
Yeah,
there is something to being an obvious game plan, and there is something to being very multiversed in an offense. Like when you have options, and each one of those options, although one may not be great, but they're all good enough to come through for you, then you have ways to attack defenses and exploit weaknesses in the defense. And so then you can say, hey, tonight's your night. Like that's what I loved about the Patriots. You'd have these, and like you said, wide receiver by committee. Usually you hear running back by committee. But on the Patriots, you have these guys that it's like, hey, man, tonight's your night. And you got this no name running back getting 4 touchdowns. Why? Because, well, you match up against the defense well.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like your running style, this and that, it works for this matchup. And they would change their, offensive game plan or their identity week to week, even. And it worked for them. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a smart and successful way to go if you're talented enough as a coaching staff to be able to execute properly with those type of game plans. Now it's much, much, much easier to have a guy like Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill and just
yeah.
feed them the ball and win that way. But then, like I said, you become very obvious, very one dimensional, and yeah, you're not going to fool anybody,
Yeah,
right?
I got a buddy named Ryan. He's a big Cowboys fan, but he gives me heck all the time about wide receiver committee's never worked. I don't think it's gonna work for you guys. And um,
Oh, dude, no, 5th round pick Antonio Brown last year, 5th round pick Puka Nakua,
Puka
fucking
Nacua,
set rookie records.
we
I
got
mean, 3rd round pick Cooper Cup, dude. You have all these late round nobody picks that have led the league in yards. So yeah, wide receiver by committee for sure. That was part of my problem with drafting wide receiver at pick 9. It's just like, man, I don't know. Like, look at the Jaguars right now with Brian Thomas Jr. It's like he wasn't picked very high and whatever. He looks like the
yeah.
chemistry there with him and Trevor Lawrence is panning out, and rarely is the top wide receiver the best in the class. Rarely. So yeah, dude, I'm cool with a bunch of guys that could just come through when they need to.
Yeah.
Clutch is what's important here.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, we don't have that number one guy, but I think we've got pretty good talented wide receiver group. Reed, Dobbs, Watson, if he stays healthy. We could do it. We could have I think our tight end is struggling. I think we need to find a guy in tight end. But it's an interesting topic because my buddy gives me heck about it, and he's like, "I think it's why you're gonna fail." I'm like, I see some talented wide
It's why you
receivers.
succeeded last year, though.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Sorry to cut
And
you off, though. What were you saying?
I know you're good. Um, I don't know where I was going with that. Um, no, I just it was something I haven't even talked about on my show,
No,
and
yeah, I think your
um,
buddy's very got some tunnel vision.
he is a Cowboys homer, and it's funny. So let me ask you this: Are you born in Chicago? Is it when you're a Bears fan, or
Nope, I was born in Poland.
okay?
I'm actually 100% Polish. I didn't come here till I was 6.
All right. So, but you moved to Chicago, and then you grew up there, and that's why you're a Bears fan, or
Correct. Yeah, I moved
okay,
here when I was 6, and yeah, it was a good way to form some friendships and kind of be interested. But yeah, I don't know.
I got you.
I love football pretty early on, and I definitely bleed blue
M-
and
my,
orange. So
yeah, mine's a different kind of. I wasn't born in Wisconsin. I don't live in Green Bay. I was born in Fort Texas, and everyone's like, "How did you born in Fort Texas in cowboy country and become a Green Bay Packer fan?" And I said, "Well, when I grew up watching sports, my dad really, my dad didn't have a team. He really didn't care about football too much. It wasn't like the team, my family cared about football too much where you kind of were raised to be that kind of fan. I'm pretty sure if they were, then I'd be a Cowboys fan. But I turned on the TV and I started watching Brett Favre, and it was it. I liked watching Brett Favre. I was a kid. I said my favorite color is green, always been green. I looked up the history of the Green Bay Packers and the Vince Lombardi and the trophy and the stadium, and I was a Packer fan ever since. So I grew up in Dallas Cowboy country being a Packers fan, and I don't know. I probably hate the Dallas Cowboys more than I do the Bears. Just because growing up with their fans, how annoying they are, how we're gonna win it this
I've
year. I'm like,
I've
"You're
Dallas has
wait."
always been one of my most
Oh,
hated teams.
yes.
And
Wait.
it's always because I just thought that they were willing to hire anybody and everybody, thug, no thug, whatever. Just they had no morals as a team in a way. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny, man. My wife's brother lived in Wisconsin, Lake Geneva. We went up there to visit them, and we were walking around Lake Geneva. And she asked me, she's like, "You can see us living up here?" And I look, and there's a green and yellow fire hydrant. And I'm like,
No, can't
"Nope,
do it.
nope." My favorite color quickly became blue. Okay,
Right.
but no, but I'm just kidding. I got another story for you that I always remembered. It was all the way back to 2006. One of my favorite band. I mean, not one of my favorite bands. My favorite band, Tool, was playing Summerfest in Milwaukee. And so me and my buddies drove up there to Milwaukee. It was 4th of July show, so there were,
Nice.
fireworks and everything. And yeah, and we were in the crowd and we were smoking a joint, and with this guy that lives in Wisconsin who's a Packers fan, and we started kind of bullshitting football a little bit. And he mentioned, he's like, "Yeah, we call you guys fibs." I was like, "Fibs?
Phipps.
So you've never heard that?"
Never heard that.
He's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, that's what Wisconsin people, like Wisconsiners, know you guys as his fibs." He's like, "You know what that is?" And I was like, "No, what?" He's like, "Fucking Illinois bastards." And then he takes a hit and he
Wow.
passes it to me, and he's like, "You guys got any nicknames for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, cock loving faggots." Dude, I laid it on him, and he, like, the look he gave me was just like, "Yeah, dude, like, no, I'm not
Damn,
about to take
Phipps.
that from you."
That's
Yeah,
funny.
right. So yeah, I never forgot that. But dude, for me growing up, it wasn't like, I mean, yeah, in 2006, that was the year I graduated high school.
Me too.
So okay, so we're the same age.
Yeah.
We're exactly the same
Nice.
age. So for me, it's like I probably didn't really start watching football till like 2002, 2003, but I was always, um, like I said, I always had Bears gear just from being here. We were
Yeah.
immigrants, so it was probably on clearance, on sale. So my grandma was always buying me Bears stuff, probably because it was cheap and whatnot too. And so
Hey,
I
that's
don't know,
that
man. But when I started paying attention to football, one of my best friends too. His dad has had season tickets since the '60s, and I've been lucky enough to go to a bunch of games. I mean, a lot of games thanks
Oh,
to
that's
them,
awesome.
and experience it live and learn the etiquette tied to it. We don't leave till the last second of the games and things like that, and just so truly develop a love for the Bears and a love for the sport. I don't even really watch any other sports. Like I pay attention here and there a little bit, but no, football's my thing.
You're not.
That's
It's
what I
not a
love.
religious. It's not a religious league type thing.
Yeah, yeah. Me and my co-host David, when we worked together 15 years ago, we used to love 2K5, NFL
Mhm.
2K5 for PS2. It was just such a badass game.
Yeah.
And I remember we would sit there, after work, night after night, just reconstructing the entire current NFL roster. And like just setting ratings for every single player down to linemen on every team and this and that. So like at one point we were like
Nice.
so honed in and whatever. And yeah, I've just always loved the sport, always loved the game. And yeah, that's why, like I said, I don't even mind talking to a fan of the rival team as long as the conversation's calm, respectful, and not just
Right.
a shouting
We didn't
match.
hear
Dude, and even
screaming at each other.
throw your jokes and insults at me. I'll take them too. But like at the end of the day, it still has to be on good terms, right? So
Excuse
yeah,
me.
but yeah, you're good, man. But I've never been to Lambeau. Have you been
No,
to Soldier Field?
I haven't. I haven't been
Yeah.
to any field other than the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. My my goal is to make it to Lambeau Field. That's one of my bucket list things to do. My wife's talked about moving to Wisconsin because the weather here is so hot. I'm like, she's like, look, babe, the summertime weather in Wisconsin's 72 for a high. And I'm like, yeah, it's -40 in the winter. I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah, that's
hard.
right. That's right. You guys get like an inch of snow out there and you're freaking out, right?
Oh, we get we get an inch of snow and the whole state shuts down. We don't
No,
go to
yeah, dude.
work. We
I've
don't
driven
go to
through like a
school. We
foot and
don't.
a half
Yeah, we don't.
up into Wisconsin, and
Our
it's 2-lane highways with no lights,
uh,
and then
our
nothing
I
but
couldn't
just
imagine.
snowbounds everywhere. And yeah, no,
Our
it's rough, man.
our our winter here in Texas is 2 weeks in February, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah, see, so me, um, my name's Paul. I've gotten the nickname even Pauler Bear. Like, dude, anything above 75 degrees, I'm sweating. So like when I went to Arizona, they're like, "You'll be fine. We
oh
have pools." I was like, "Yeah, because you need pools."
yeah,
Like,
they're boiling outside to
no, man,
moderate.
like I can't handle that heat. I love the wintertime. I love the snow. I love the cold. I don't love the like negative
Yeah.
temperatures, but no, man, like 30 degrees with a bunch of snow everywhere. Oh, I'm cool in a hoodie. I'm
See,
good.
I'm that guy in Texas in wintertime. I've got a hoodie on and I'm wearing shorts and flip flops. Like, I'm just warm natured. Now summer times, this summer wasn't too bad. Last summer was the worst summer we've ever had. I mean, 115, 116, and it's terrible. But um, it's funny. We
So you just chose to be a Packers fan, huh?
I did. I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to be a Cowboys fan. Let me see what's going on. And I fell in love watching Brett Favre. And it's funny you talk about buying stuff on discount. I literally had no clue who Aaron Rodgers was. I didn't follow college football too much that time in my life. And I was walking through a Dick's Sporting Goods with my mom, and she's like, "Hey, this is your next quarterback. It's the jersey's on clearance. You want it?" I said, "Nah, sure. I hope he's any. I don't know if he's going to be any good, but sure, why not?" And he turned out to be really good. So I got my first Rodgers jersey on discounted rack at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Meanwhile, I have a Cutler jersey. I got a Trubisky jersey. I got a Fields jersey.
Oh.
I have a Williams jersey, and yeah,
See, I
keep
don't.
having to buy more.
I use.
I keep having to buy more.
They're pretty expensive, so I don't buy them unless I know that the guy is going to be good. So I
Yeah, my
have.
one buddy won't buy them until they retire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So I have. I had a Brett Favre jersey, obviously. Um, I had Aaron Rodgers, I had Devontae Adams, I had Jordy Nelson, and I bought the only rookies I've ever bought was J.R. Alexander because I knew he was going to be great.
he's
So
not great.
well, he's kind of fallen off the last couple of years, but he started his career. I was like, this guy is going to be great, and he's good. He's top 5, sixth cornerback in the league. But anywho's, it's funny. We've had this NFC North talk, and we haven't even talked about the best team in the NFC.
I was gonna say there's still one more thing we need to get to here that I think we're both kind of avoiding.
Yeah.
And let me just start it off like this. Like, first of all, everybody around me, right? And this is just the pure football um uh dude, I'm like brutal about it. I don't care. I have caveman style thoughts. Everybody around me is like, oh, we feel good for the Lions, good for them. I'm just like, well, fuck them. Okay, like it's only been 1 year, and I'm still just like, no,
Oh man.
no, I don't care. Fuck them. And listen, their window's open. It's still definitely open this year. You're right.
Oh
They're
yeah.
the top team in this division. Period. However, it's because Ben Johnson decided to stick around. I truly believe that it really mimics like the Kyle Shanahan situation in Atlanta when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl and was up 28-3 against the Patriots.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Shanahan left, went to the 49ers. 49ers have success. Meanwhile, the Falcons dwindle away.
Fell apart.
I feel the same thing's going to happen in Detroit. The second Ben Johnson goes somewhere else, I feel that's where the source of success is. Whereas Dan Campbell, he's such a rah guy, and that's great and all,
It
but
doesn't work.
but it doesn't work when you're losing,
Yeah.
right? Like 30-something-year-old guys that are here to fucking either win or whatever. Like they don't want to. Dude, we went through it with Club Dub and Matt Nagy. Like some guys have a bad taste in their mouth from that, and it's like so it's great and all when you're winning, but when you're losing, it's a tough sell. And then that guy is so stubborn and arrogant to a degree when it comes to like fourth downs and stuff
Yeah.
that it's
It'll cost
going to bite him. Like it might work his way and succeed, but I think that was last year. Now I think it's more likely to wind up biting him in the ass long term. And so I think their window's open. I think for one more year though. I think the second Ben Johnson leaves next year, I think they do fall off a bit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like Ben Johnson, and when he decided to stay, I was a little disappointed. I like Dan Campbell, excuse me, but I don't think he has the schemes and all that kind of things as to put a success on the field. I think it's all Ben Johnson, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But this team is a well balanced team. They run the ball well. They have a good offensive line. They're Jared Goff's playing the best quarterback he's played in the last 2 years. And when I saw them in the Rams game, it was a really good game. They played great in all aspects of the special teams. They played great defensively. They were rushing the quarterback and getting after Stafford, and they had an interception in the end zone. And they were well balanced. They ran the ball well. They play action, all that stuff. So they look really good.
Yeah, it's cute. It really is.
I did. Now I
No,
did.
I'm
I will
kidding. I'm
say
kidding. No, you're right. And like one of the things I liked about them last year is they won games in many different ways.
yes. They found many different ways, and I think that's their strength of the team. It's not reliant all on the quarterback or the running back. It's relying on this team. And I don't know about you, but I really like St. Brown. He's a absolute beast of a wide receiver. He'll go across the middle and take hits. He does it all for that team. Um, I was when after the Packers lost to the 49ers, I was like, all right, let's go Lions last year because I really love Barry Sanders. This is my favorite running back of all. Watching Barry Sanders was the funnest running back I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah, my only thing
yeah, that's
bears
true.
truth though is like the Rams literally got rid of Goff and a first round pick, so
Yeah.
they could win a Super Bowl. So like in
And I
last year he came close. They were really close of making the Super Bowl, but like man, I don't know.
I wasn't big on Jared Goff, and he played really good last year. I had to give him his respect.
He's like 29, 30 years old, right? So he
Yeah,
still has gas left in the tank. So yeah,
but
I
they got to
get
put
it.
a lot around him to win, though. He's not a guy. He's not a
Definitely.
guy that's going to just do it himself. He's not a Patrick Mahomes, and there's not a lot of people that are. But he's not your Aaron Rodgers that could put a team on his back. He needs a lot of help around him, but he's made smarter decisions with the football, especially last year. Again, last year I don't think he got enough respect for what he did with that team. So um, he's a serviceable quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, and they have a well-rounded team all the way around. So they're going to be a good team. I hope they fall off when you say I think they may be around a little bit longer than that, but time will
Maybe,
tell.
but like like I mentioned before, when you look at the guys out there who have Super Bowl rings, it's really Patrick Mahomes sitting
Yeah.
on a throne with 3 of them, and to beat him, you're going to need to gamble in many ways. And what that's going to do is it's going to shorten the lifespan, shorten your window of opportunity. The Rams are a great example. They went all in with their chips and they
Yeah.
won. They
Yeah.
got one. And that's all that matters
Yep.
because it's such a hard rebuild after that when things fall off and players retire, you got to pay contracts or this. And like it's tough. It might be one of the toughest positions for a GM to be in after you win a Super Bowl. Like it gets rough. Everybody wants to get paid. It's
Right.
hard.
Well,
However,
they looked at trades. Sorry to interrupt, but they
no,
looked at
no,
trade
go ahead.
Stafford in the offseason. No one
Yeah,
wanted it, and he still looks to me to have quite a bit left in the tank.
yeah, he does, but it's just it's not. Can he do it for 17 games plus
Right.
what 3 more in the playoffs, like 20 games straight? Probably can't survive it at this point. Like so, it's interesting because when I look at what these teams have to do, even the Lions, you do have to like. That's why I understand. I get. I call Dan Campbell stubborn, but that's why you do have to gamble. That's why you do have to go on fourth downs. That's why you do have to get an upper edge whenever you can and things like that. And if it's not with trades and with talent, I mean, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a winning record and they're still making moves before the trade deadline to add more because you're going to need to really push the chips all in at some point in order to, yeah, beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Like it's a tough run, man.
And you know what's funny, and I love it. I love it is the Lions thought, "Oh man, we're about to take this NFC North for a long time," and I'm like, "Not so fast. Green Bay's still going to be around, and if Love didn't get hurt this year, then I think we fight for that division." But um, it's gonna be
Yeah.
the NFC North could get really good, like pretty soon. If Caleb Williams turns out to be a good quarterback for you guys, if Jordan Love stays healthy, and you got the Lions, and these 3 teams turn out to be really good, then you're talking about one of the best divisions in football. So
Yeah, definitely. I think going into the season, you looked at the AFC North and then the NFC North
yeah,
as the top 2 divisions. So for sure. But then JJ McCarthy gets hurt. And like I said, but the Vikings didn't seem to skip a beat from that. We'll see if it hurts them in the long run or not. But still,
do
we've
you
matched up against them well. Like for us Bears fans, we even have played the Lions very well in the last couple of years. Um,
divisional game?
it's always been
It's
you
for that.
guys that are our obstacle. So like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, whichever way it happens, I'm sorry he got hurt. I mean, sorry, not sorry. Like I told you, I'm kind of an asshole. So whatever. But like whether he sucks naturally, whether he's just hurt and can't play or whatever, we need you guys to suffer for us to benefit and have that opportunity available for us. But at the same time, we need our guys to play well. Like, so
Yeah.
you're right. Like it does fall on Caleb's shoulders. This kid's got to step it up. He's got to have a great game, great outing. He's got to, let those jitters go and show what everybody saw in college. And like, I have this Houston matchup as a loss for us,
Yeah.
but like I said, our weakness is really interior offensive line. Their strength is more at the edges. So if our tackles can play well, they can hold those guys in check. And, it's any given Sunday, and it's
Yeah.
still early on in the season. I totally see a scenario where, the Bears do something different finally. We don't just talk change, we actually do change. And we show up on a Sunday night game and play some damn good football. So I don't know. I'm hoping for that. Like I said, I still have a loss, but I don't see that being an impossible scenario to play out.
You know, if you watch football at all every year, you know that you've got to pencil in those surprise wins every week. When I'm predicting my games and I go, wow, that was too easy, I need to go back and look at something because there's always some upsets every week. There's at least one or two. Um,
Yeah, and with that being said, the first time I went through the schedule, I wound up at 11 wins, and I was like, no, 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 no.
yeah,
Let me go back
yeah,
again. That's too much, too easy.
yeah,
Like which games here are going to be the ones that you should have came away with, but you didn't, or whatever. And there's always those games for sure. And when it's not an easy league by any means.
It's definitely not. And like I said, we talked about the schedule earlier. I just got to show up and play my schedule. Um, I don't get to pick them. So, you know, I give the Cowboy fans crap because they got 2 easy wins every year when they play the Giants and the Commanders. And so they usually got 4 easy wins right there. But
Well, they could turn around and tell you that you played the Bears,
yeah, that
right?
is
So I
true.
mean,
That is
in
true.
fact, I mean, you've gotten 2 wins against us for a while now.
Yeah. You know, yeah, it's any given Sunday. Um do I think the Bears are going to beat Houston? I don't. I have them losing that game as well. Do I think there's a path where the Bears can win? Yeah, and I think it leads to getting Caleb Williams comfortable early and him you need to win the time of possession definitely. You need to have your defense rested to face this offensive juggernaut of the Houston Texans. But um but yeah, I think definitely Houston wins on Sunday.
Fair enough.
And I
Yeah,
don't
man.
think Caleb Williams could look any worse. So there's your positive.
Yeah, I guess. But even that, I don't know. I always thought the floor was higher. But like I said, week one, you can make excuses. You could look past it. For me, it always takes about 2, 3 years to truly get an idea of what a quarterback is. And man, I know we've been on over an hour. I don't want to keep you much longer. But
Oh, no worries,
man,
man. No
fuck,
worries.
man.
I'm all for talking football for the.
Yeah, I did have one more thing to say, but I forgot what it was. Damn it.
I do like what Bear Truth 9 said. The thing the Packers got is a proven system of success at drafting. And yeah, Brian Gutekunst has done a fantastic job of drafting and putting and getting value with the drafts and guys were in lower spots and then having the floor coach him up. I My biggest concern, if you had to ask me, my biggest concern for Green Bay this year is our offensive line, and we've always drafted well and had really good offensive linemen, and we've had guys that just step in and just play good, and you're like, wow, okay, this is awesome. But this year, my biggest concern for Green Bay is the offensive line, and they struggled to keep Love um, against the Eagles. Now, I do know the Eagles have a great defensive line, and the field was sloppy, but my concerns are I'm not really too strong on our offensive line, so I'm hoping they prove me wrong this season. Um, Paul, if I had to ask you, what's your biggest concern for your team, the Bears, this season? What would that be? What's your biggest weakness?
Um, Coaching. That's my biggest concern. I don't know if it's our biggest weakness. Like, weakness on the field is truly interior offensive line, center position primarily. However, my biggest concern is coaching. I haven't seen this coaching staff prove anything yet. We replaced an offensive and defensive coordinator. As much hype as there is for those guys being good, okay, that's great and all. Anybody could have had them, right? So, like, I don't know. I'm still struggling with that. However, coming out in week one and getting the win was super important because you could not repeat the same type of 0-4 performance you did last year and expect to keep your job. So,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
say they would
we have
fire him
Shane
at that point.
Waldron as our offensive coordinator, but that's what I mean. I look, I believe that they will stick around and prove it. And part of that is I don't want the situation where we draft a quarterback and 1 year later we're replacing the coaching staff again. But
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
they still have that in front of them. They still have to go out there and actually do a good enough job because, in my opinion, the biggest thing that Matt Eberflus was able to do last year is not let it fall apart, which is big. He did keep it glued together, and as bad of a start as they got, they still didn't give up on the season. I remember after the Lions collapse, 4 interceptions, and we still lose. I said this defense is not going to play as hard again as it did in that week. Well, next week against Minnesota, they got 4 more turnovers. So it's like, okay, I was wrong. They came and they showed up and they're still fired up and whatever, and that speaks volumes on the
Yeah.
coach. But but man, like, I still don't know the identity of this team. and that falls on the coordinator. And I still, like I said, I feel like it's a very prove it year for Matt Eberflus. So yeah, that's my biggest concern. What
Yeah,
about
not
yours for the Bears and for the Packers? Why don't you give me both?
okay. Well, the Packers, I said, was their offensive line. I think that
I'm
that
sorry,
was
my bad. You're right.
no, you're good. I think that is worrisome for me. But as far as the Bears go, you've always played good defensive ball. I would have to agree with you on your head coach. I'm not a big. I'm surprised he kept his job last year. I'm not a big Eberflus fan. Um, you do have you don't want to see you draft a quarterback and then fire your head coach the next season. Then it's that quarterback. You know, is he learning a whole new offense, or do you just promote your offensive coordinator? Is he good enough? You look at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield until this last year never had the same offensive coordinator.
5 teams,
Yeah, he's
5 teams.
never. Yeah, he's never had the same offensive coordinator. This year was the first year he did, and he looked pretty good week one, and that does matter. That matters if you're changing that offense every time. But I don't like Eberflus. I don't when you hire him. I don't know what they saw in him. I don't think it was. I think he's probably the weakest coach in the NFC North. Um, out of the other guys. So I could see them making a change this year. You know, and I think it's going to bolt all on your star quarterback. If Caleb Williams fit with him. Um,
It's why it's all on Caleb's shoulders for sure.
yeah,
He
and
could save a lot of jobs or cost a lot of
oh
jobs.
yeah, if he goes in front of us and say I can't work with this guy, and the guy's gone. Period. No discussion. We just spent a first round draft pick and pay this guy lots of money. So a lot does fall on the quarterback. But in the NFL, you have to have a good quarterback or you're not going to be good. So at the end of the day, um, it does fall on Caleb Williams, but I'd say your biggest weakness is your head coach. Um, you've got a good wide receiver group. You've always had good defense. I think your defensive backfield's pretty good. But your head coach is definitely in. What do you think if you look at Green Bay? What is your honest opinion of our biggest weakness?
Um, I would say it's tough because you guys are very well rounded. One is experience. You guys are very young, but you did get some experience last year by going to the playoffs and still winning a playoff game. So I think that does a lot. Two, I think you're going to be held back by your quarterback. I think at the end of the day, average and good enough will only get you so far, which is kind of how I feel about the Lions. At the same time, too, it's like, man, in that biggest moment, dude, like we mentioned at the start of the show, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, 7 drives, touchdown each drive for both teams, came down to a coin flip, and they lost.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? So you could even still match that guy and still come down to a 50-50 shot of losing that damn game because he might just get the ball in overtime. So, I think for every team in the NFL right now, it's huge. And that's why I think you do need a team with a defensive spike to perform really well. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
you guys are well rounded. I don't know, but yeah, I think it's like fool's gold in a way too. Like I think you're just gonna figure out that kind of like the Rams did with Goff. Like at some point, if we just get a much better quarterback in here, we can make this look a lot better. I think you guys are kind of like a mini version of that early on right now. Um, and so, not to insult it, I mean, it's still better than the situation we have going on, but that is my honest opinion of kind of what's going on in Green Bay. And it's interesting to me because I could be totally wrong. I don't know.
I mean, time will tell. I'm not here saying that Love is definitely going to be our next biggest thing. I lean towards that he is definitely the guy than I do that he's not. Um, but I got to see it for another year. Like I said, I got to see that last half. If he shows up and plays like he did the last half this year, then I'm going, okay, wow. But you look at game one. I don't think he played all that well. He missed a couple throws.
He
He was behind players, and I was going, wow, this wasn't the opening game I wanted to. But we did play a really good football team. We did play in Brazil. I'm going to blame the field a lot because the field was atrocious, and I hate that we had to go play that game there. But at the end of the day, it's like it's grain of salt. It's game one. But right now, our main focus, obviously, in Green Bay is how long is he out? If it's 6 games, we're screwed. and we might as well just gift the best draft pick we can. So
Yeah. Hey man, we're gonna end it on this. I know you're pretty far away from me. At some point, I would love for you to meet my wife's uncle because he is the exact opposite of you. He was born and raised in Chicago, and he's got that cowboy star tattooed on his arm.
oh
And
gosh.
both his sons just make fun of, all three of his sons just make fun of him, give him shit during the games. Like really bad too, and like he has to take it because for some reason he just chose
To be a Cowboy
to be
fan.
a Cowboy fan.
I don't know why you would
He's as
you would
crazy as
choose
you
a
are.
Yeah, I love
So
it though because I get to walk around here knowing that my team beats them every year in the playoffs. So it's I can hold my head up a little high and I feel a little bit better about it than him being the Cowboys fan. So
yeah, well, you keep holding your head up high because pretty soon we'll be hopefully looking at the ground. At least that's what we're all hoping for. Brian, man, thank you so much, dude.
Excuse me.
You're good, man. Thank you
Of
so much for fucking joining me tonight, staying on. Like I said, I
course,
could
man.
talk football all night, but
Yeah.
we are going on hour 20, and dude, I'm sure we'll see. I'll still even chat a little bit after the show and text or whatever
I'll
and this
shoot
and
the
that. But
text.
yeah, dude, I love football in general. Like I said, I'm always willing to have a conversation about the division in general, about your team, about my team, about the other teams in our division, or about NFL in general too. So for everybody out there, Outspoken Network, um, the Sportscast, it's a good time with you guys, and that link is definitely down below in the details. I should have said that really early on, but yeah, hopefully you get some people
No
to
worries.
go and check you out, and you guys do good content. So
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on tonight, and I'm sure I'll be on again, and you can be on my show again. And
score predictions.
well,
Damn it,
definitely
Bare Truth wants it.
score predictions. Oh,
Bare Truth, I have it losing, so I have it as like a 27-17 loss.
I'm gonna
I
go
hope I'm wrong. I
with
really do.
31-21. Bears lose.
Okay, well, there you go. There's your score predictions. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate everybody. Once again, go check out Brian and his guys for general NFL talk and whatnot. And yeah, man, Sunday can't come fast enough for every one of us.
I
So
feel you.
bear down. Appreciate y'all. Bye.